Hello, eCommerce listener. So excited to host John Roman today, CEO of BattlBox. John, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Wow, I'm looking at your YouTube plate and all the great things that you do in BattlBox. I'm really intrigued and interesting. So let's start by please share with us about BattlBox. What do you do?
Sure. So BattlBox is an outdoor adventure brand. So think everything from camping, hiking, survival preparedness, um, really anything in that entire realm. And we started early 2015. I've gone through some tons of cool experiences, but
Hmm.
our focus is a little bit different from your traditional DTC brand. We lead by two pillars, and that's content and community. So all decisions in the business, we take both of those, content and community, into consideration. Um, so very content driven brand. You look at some of our successes in it, it's because of that. So we have a Netflix TV show, a Netflix original series that came out in 2020, and the reason we got that show was because we were focusing on content so much.
Amazing.
So just a very different approach than traditional DTC. Because of that approach, the majority of our top of funnel is organic.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every month on Meta
Yeah.
and YouTube and TikTok and all the usual suspects, but um, it's not as much of a top funnel driver as our organic content.
Yeah. Obviously, so you started 2015. You've been through various waves on the industry, also COVID in the middle.
Yeah.
What has changed throughout the years? How do you see the evolution of, acquisition? Let's start from acquisition.
So it's not gotten easier.
Sure. Yeah.
um, I mean, with certainty, if there's one piece of certainty, it's our CAC has continued to rise,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, we were COVID was obviously very kind to us. Outdoor survival gear tends to do well in a pandemic.
Hmm.
We were lucky we had that happen, and then in July of 2020 is when our TV show dropped. So it was really just perfect timing on both, and
Yeah.
it just allowed us to capitalize. One thing, you've seen a lot of correction in the DTC space. A lot of brands that were doing well in 2020, 2021 have come back to reality. They're probably still above their 2019 numbers, but there had to be a correction for that wild spike in any chart you look at. We've been fortunate that we didn't have that correction. Um, we had a weird phase in 2022 where we did see a slight dip, about 10% in revenue size, but that was attributed not necessarily to a correction, but we were acquired in late 2021,
Hmm.
and we were then publicly traded, and there's some fun nuances of being publicly traded. Every quarter matters. You maybe make some decisions sometimes that are very short-sighted, because you want to have some good earnings numbers, and that those come sometimes at the expense of the business.
Sure.
So we bought the business back in early 2023, and when we did that, we were able to quickly go back to, the secret sauce that we know how to execute. And we were able to scale past the dip, past where we were in 2021, 2022, and continue the upward trajectory. So I said a lot there. I don't know if
Yeah, it's all
really
great. It's
answered
all
your
great
question.
information. What was the passion, like the drive to launch BattlBox initially?
Um so I can't take credit for it. My old business partner, he hasn't been involved in the business in several years. His fiance was getting a Birchbox. So female beauty
Hmm.
subscription box. It at one point, especially in probably 2014, 2015, it was the golden child in subscription boxes, right? Like it was the the brand everybody wanted to emulate. They probably had around $1 billion valuation at the time. Now, since then, there's been some bankruptcies and ownership changes, and they made some mistakes along the way. But at the time, that was the coolest, latest, greatest. And his fiance was getting one every month, and he'd watch her, unbox it, open it up, the surprise, the delight, the genuine excitement that she experienced. He could see it on her face, and he was like, "Hey, I want this for myself." And he was an outdoorsman, so he quickly looked online, tried to find something. There wasn't something, and he was like, "Well, I'll just create something." And it had crossed my desk about a week after it had launched, and I made an investment and came on in a limited capacity, and we were off to the races. It was a perfect timing
Yes,
moment.
yes. And you mentioned that you are spending a lot of obviously budget and time in content. Obviously, this is a so important, topic and area for differentiation. When did you make the decision, or what drove you to the decision to spend all that energy into content creation?
No, it's a really good question. So, in our initial go-to market strategy in 2015, part of our initial first month action items, we found about 40 YouTubers that were doing product reviews, maybe not even just product reviews, but outdoor content, maybe
Hmm.
educational. Uh, we actually found more than that, but we reached out to a bunch. We found 40 that agreed, hey, we're going to send you our box for free. Just give us a genuine review. If you like it, tell the world. If you don't, that's okay too. We'll use that information to get better. And so we sent out those 40 boxes. And to this day, we still send out about 30 to 40, depending on the month, to YouTubers specifically.
Hmm.
And, we were tracking all of this best we could. We had a spreadsheet, and just to 2015, we had a pre-purchase survey where we asked them, how did you hear about us? And there were all the usual suspects, but there was a other button where they could type something in.
Hmm.
And we saw, in month 2, we saw about 20% of those responses were all saying Curran 1776. We don't know who that is. We look him up. He has a YouTube channel. He's doing BattlBox reviews. We then go to our spreadsheet of our 40 reviewers, influencers, creators. He's not on the list. We then look in our CRM. He's there. He's a paying customer, and he's just making content. He's doing a review on his own. So we continue to see this trend where we're getting a lot of traffic from his reviews. So we reach out to him, and we're like, "Hey, we're gonna keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to pay for the box anymore. We're gonna send it to you for free, but just keep doing these
Obviously,
reviews."
yeah.
Right. And a few months passed, and it continues to be this major driver for us. So we go back to him and we say, "Hey, we're going to give you $500 a month. Um, keep doing what you're doing. Uh, you know, if you ever have a problem with a box or a question, let us know first. If there's anything that you're not a fan of, talk to us first." Try to put a little bit more structure around the reviews. And then in April 2016, so 14 months in, I had a career in building sales teams, and at that point, the business had a really nice run rate. I came in full time, and one of my first action items was reach back out to Curran, who his name's Brandon, and see if we can get him full time. So reached out
Hmm.
to him and convinced him to put a pause on his 20-year plus career. He was a HVAC guy, and move him and his wife and his family down to Georgia and do content full time.
Wow.
Um, and we through some negotiations, we accepted. He accepted. He moved down, And at that point, it was go time. So it was late 2016, I think, around October when he was able to move down and start. And at that point, we went from that one monthly review video to a bunch of videos. And
Hmm.
for the first couple of years, he was farm to table. So he was the guy in front of the camera, he was the cameraman, he was the video editor, he was the guy posting the video. I mean, literally the entire gambit. And we did that for several years.
Wow.
And then I'd say 3 or close to 4 years ago now, we started the process of bringing on additional teammates. So we started with one video editor and then one social media manager that would schedule, and we've just scaled it. I think now we have 3 full-time video editors on staff. We have graphic artists, we have social media scheduler, we have obviously our head of marketing and a marketing coordinator, but we really beefed up the video team.
Yeah. So that's obviously an internal team that you've built to create your own content and publish it on various socials and digital asset that you have. Are you also continuing doing like influencer marketing? Is it also part of the strategy, or?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's 100% still part of the strategy. So we
Hmm.
still send out probably in total any given month 70, 80 different items. It could be boxes, it could be specific items to a TikTok shop creator.
Yeah. Like
Um,
gifting, right? Seeding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we spread out, typically sell 100 every month, but it's still a big driver. And then there's platforms that are driving it. So TikTok Shop's a great example. Um, you know, TikTok, we almost have 1 million followers on there, and so the content we do is pretty good,
Oh,
in theory, to grab the followers and grab the views that we get. But when we post a product for the TikTok shop, even if the content's great, it doesn't perform as well on the algorithm as an influencer's who's selling our product does. It's
yeah.
like a false algo boost if it's an influencer selling someone else's. Um, you know, like not even without bias. Like you look at our content and this creator's content, and 100 out of 100 people will agree our content is, wow, this is the better piece of content. But it doesn't matter. The
Conversions
algorithm,
completely
correct.
different. Wow.
So we, because of situations like that, we lean in.
Yeah.
So we have lots of uh, influencers on the TikTok platform, but all platforms in general.
Yes. Look, I'm sure you are creating various type of content, right? Just awareness type of content, consideration, decision, like in the various stages of the funnel, right? And those are very, very helpful for the success of that specific influencer, obviously promoting your content. Like
Right.
this, having this foundation, I think is very
Yeah.
powerful in the success of those. Uh, and I run a tech company called Vimy. We are in the video commerce space, so I'm all about video creation and encouraging leaders and business executives out there to create more content and differentiate through funnel-led content and executive-led content, obviously influence marketing, and we're all about social commerce and things like that. How can you? I'd like you to encourage leaders out there to focus more on content, how it's working for you, and I'd like for you to share more tips and give them some encouragement that video works and video is
It does. Yeah.
worth
I
the
mean,
investment.
it's so worth it. Well, I think the problem is, um, it's a lot of work, right? And you don't see the results immediately.
Yeah,
And in today's society, everybody wants that instant gratification, which building content and truly building around it takes time. It's the same, people that don't focus on SEO because it takes so long.
yeah,
Well, spoiler alert, this might take longer. But the rewards, if you're able to truly squeeze the fruit, the juices, there's so much of it.
sure.
It's just you have to trust in the process
Yes,
and
and it
be
really
consistent.
sometimes you don't know because you have this like impression versus engagement, right? And
Yeah,
impression can be like hundred thousands of times more than engagement, and you don't know who actually watch your video and
right.
what you will find even in a few months along the line. And attribution is anyhow so difficult. Your TikTok shop might attribute to a sale you do on your brand.com website, right? You don't know that because journey started somewhere on TikTok and eventually finished on your company website. So it's really a different type of thing. So I'm interested about the community aspect because you mentioned that as well, right? So obviously building a community is like the dream strategy, right, for brands, and obviously it requires again time and dedication. What was the thought process and how it's actually working for you?
So part of our initial launch was with a community aspect. So initially, and it's not what it is today, we launched BattlBox Forum
Hmm.
.com, which was we actually launched it right before we launched BattlBox, but at basically the same time. And it was a Reddit style. We used a white labeling something called Pro Boards, so it was like a bulletin board esque. Um, and it was there for a while. So when we started it, it was um, not focused on BattlBox per se. It was
Hmm.
focused on the outdoors, focused on all these categories, whether it's camping, hiking, or you're just preparedness people that are preparing for an event. And we started seeding in Reddit and seeding in Facebook groups and letting people know about it, going to other bulletin boards. So we started this organic community. And then once we had BattlBox, people were obviously talking a lot about BattlBox there,
Hmm.
but it was really about engagement. So immediately in very short order, we found I think seven members that were very early to the forum that were very engaged, right? They're responding people. They know just about as much about BattlBox as we do. Like
Hmm.
they're fanatical.
Yeah.
Um and they're fans. So we quickly said, "Hey, you no longer have to pay for your box. Your box is free moving forward. And in turn, keep doing what you're doing on the forum, in the community. Drive conversation, create
Nice.
conversations, right? And moderate." So we off the jump had 7 moderators. Uh, and in addition to that, I'll feature pace it. So a few years ago, we made the decision, and it works great. I'm not entirely sold that that it's the right decision, and I don't know if we'll be there forever. But we migrated to a Facebook group, and when we did that, we made it a private group, and it's also it's private paywalled. So if you're not an active paying member, you
Hmm.
no longer have access. So we
Yeah.
built it for, call it 5 years, where it was free, everybody invited. And when we migrated it over, we made it's an added value of being a BattlBox member. Um, Now I love that part. It doesn't serve the same purpose before. It was very top of funnel before.
Hmm.
Now it's not top of funnel, right? Because you have to go through the funnel to get in. But it's one of the big things, I'd say any single day you can check in the group, and there's anywhere between 7 to 10 BattlBox employees that have engaged somewhere on that day's
Hmm.
posts or that day's content. There's multiple posts, obviously.
Sure.
And the ability, we'll get off this call, and sometime today I'll look at Facebook, and with certainty I'll have been tagged, 4 or 5 times sporadically in the
Hmm.
group. And it's a pretty cool experience because you don't get, not that we're a large company, we're definitely a relatively small company, but we're big enough where it's quite unusual to have access to the entire team, just a tag away, and they're going to respond. We're going to respond, whether it's me or Brandon who's in the videos,
Hmm.
or anybody else on the team. It's it's just because it's been it's part of the culture here, right? Like we are doing what we're doing every day because of our customers and because of the community, and we have to remember that. So engaging with them
Amazing.
is great, right? It's everybody wins.
Yes. What are the steps that you can suggest for anyone who's looking to build kind of a start to build his own community?
Just do it. So talking to your customers, and even getting old school, like in the beginning when it's manageable and scalable, pick up the phone if possible, right? Of
Yeah.
course you can still email them, send them messages on social channels, but pick up the phone too. Talk to them and really understand what what gets them going, what motivates them, why they buy from you, why what they're looking for and what they enjoy. Facebook, we use it now. I, again, don't know if it's the right platform, but with certainty, they do a really good job with groups.
Yeah.
It's really easy to start one. It's really easy to moderate and manage it. They make it. It's a great product. So I would say use that right now. Are all of your customers going to be on Facebook? Maybe not, but maybe they are. A lot are. And even if people aren't active on Facebook, they typically still have an account, and you're giving them a reason to
Yeah, and
use
it's
it,
in
right?
it's on their mobile phone, and they're getting the notifications, right? And it's more
Exactly.
more easy to, like, less friction to engage, right?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would jump in there and engage and and if if one of your customers is posting or if it's prospects, like engage with everybody,
Hmm.
have fun conversations, uh force yourself to do it. Find, whether you're allocating time in your day that you need to block off, or not, but just jump in. And the
Nice.
more and the quicker you interact with your customers, the better, because then it just sets the tone.
Yeah. So how the subscription model works? Tell us about the box. So what's inside? How is it,
Sure.
managed?
So we have 4 tiers. So we have the basic, the advanced, the pro plus. Prices range from the basics 35 plus sales tax plus shipping, all the way up to the pro plus, which is 170 plus shipping plus tax. Ends up being about 200 all in, depending on region. They stack on top of each other. So if you get the pro box, it has everything from the basic, everything from the advanced, and then a pro item,
Hmm.
and so on and so on. Weird fact: 50% of our base is in the largest tier,
Wow.
which is crazy to have a a AOV, that's, I think our AOV is like 140, which it's a lot of money.
It's a
Um
passionate audience, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
But so that's the basic economics. You know, in the beginning we would, call and just try to find, oh, we need 200 of a product. Um, now, now it's a little bit different because nobody has, 15,000 or whatever the number is sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Hmm.
The uber majority are all custom manufactured runs. So, you're sometimes looking at 6-month lead time, which forecasting 6-9 months out is fun. The um, but it's really cool because now there's been a shift where a lot of times a manufacturer, a brand that everyone knows, will use us to launch their product, um, because they have the audience. They know these are their customers too,
Hmm.
and they'll launch a new product through us, or they'll do an exclusive product with us, which is kind of cool to have the exclusivity layer where they can, the customer can only get this knife for this fire starter or this item in a battle box.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a quick
Nice, nice.
breakdown of the boxes.
So I also know you have an app, right? So what was the thought process behind launching the app, and what's the experience in the app? What people can do with that?
Yeah, so the um the basics of it is to manage your account. You can also ingest content. You can shop. We wanted to make it just a little easier to manage your account if you want to cancel, if you need to skip a month, etc.
Hmm.
Um, but what it really gave us was another touch point. So you're seeing you're seeing there's some push notification technology that people use, whether it's a wallet pass or you're seeing, some people used to use the Chrome notifications as a way to push to mobile. But it's pretty cool just to have almost your own channel in addition to all the others, and where we segment and we have exclusive offers, and it's just another way to to touch, to
Yeah.
interact.
And in terms of the consumers or the shoppers themselves, you say that the main point that initiated this was just to manage the account, right? But obviously, is a place for them to get more videos, education, right?
Yeah, I
And
think we have a hard educational piece shortly after signing up, walking the customer through the benefits of the app.
yeah,
But the reality is they'll download it to manage, but then they'll uncover that, oh, there's content in here. Oh, I'm getting exclusive push notifications. We quickly show them that there's a lot downloaded to manage your account, but then you quickly find out that there's so much more in the app that can be
yes,
done,
yes.
and it's just another way to get a hold of us too.
Nice, nice. So, John, we talked about BattlBox, we talked about content creation and your commitment to content, obviously the YouTube channels. So now we need to talk about your podcast, right? The awesome podcast. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we launched in June, but it was a long time coming. So last year I have a weekly call with our the operator, the owner of the development agency we use,
Hmm.
and the call started off like a traditional, touching base, looking at our projects, what can he help with? What do my team need to do? And we started sharing notes, what was working, what was not working, what he was seeing other clients have success with, what I was seeing, peers have success with, and just sharing knowledge. And after a couple of weeks, we were like, man, there's been some good tidbits in here, because I find myself, running to peers and saying, hey, try this. I'm going to try this. And he would
Hmm.
share clients. This is working for BattlBox. So he said, we're going to start recording these. And if there's a 3 to 5 minute, aha moment or takeaway, we'll just chop it up, take it out, post it on channels. And we did that for several months. And it was okay. It was just missing something. And what it was missing was perspective. You had his perspective as an agency owner, my perspective as a brand operator, but there's so many other perspectives that need to be taken into consideration when coming up with a solution or thinking through obstacles. And the missing pieces were just a traditional marketer and then a SaaS operator.
Hmm.
And looking online, I didn't know he's a friend now, but he just an acquaintance that I honestly just someone I followed on social. His name's Jimmy Kimmy, founded SendLane, which is an email provider. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, this is what I'm currently doing. This is what I'm thinking. I think you'd be perfect as a part of it. And he
Hmm.
showed me some notes quickly that he had been coming up with an almost identical idea and wanted to do it, wanted a podcast. And we were like, okay, well, this is destiny. And we needed to find a marketer. We looked around. He actually found one, Brian, who is a perfect fit. And the four of us jumped on a call. None of us were really friends with each other. We just all knew of each other and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be way different. We're going to do it in person. Um, and it's going to be a weekly, around an hour in length. We're going to hit on topics and we're going to have, these different perspectives. And sometimes we'll agree on stuff and sometimes we won't. And that's okay. And we're off to the races. So I had a baby earlier this year. So the idea of traveling really wasn't something I was
Hmm.
ready to do yet. So for the first batch, all three guys flew into Atlanta where I am. We found a studio and we recorded the first 5 episodes. And that gave us 5 weeks. And then by the second batch. Okay. And then there was the first conference I was going back to post having a baby in Dallas, Sub Summit. And we were like, okay, well, we're all going to this conference. So we're going to go to the conference. We're all going to stay an extra day, and we're going to record another 5. And now once a month, typically it's a 40-hour trip. We fly
Yeah.
somewhere, we record a batch, we fly back, and it's funny because as we've gotten to know each other and in person, the flow is just it gets better and better and better each episode, and it's pretty cool to see just because nobody's doing that, and
Hmm.
we're not guest heavy. We haven't had a guest yet. We will have guests,
Hmm.
um, but it's more about the topics and more about the different perspectives and the hot takes, and it's a slightly different flavor from your traditional podcast. I think that's why it's had the early success that it has.
Nice. So it's 4 of you gather together and just talk about various like trending topics, interesting
Trending
topics in the
topics,
industry. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Nice.
Um, So yeah, it's video first. So we're on all the traditional channels: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. But then we're on YouTube as
Yeah.
well. And YouTube is we organically push a lot of our content that we post on social channels. We push people to YouTube. So that's why we've had the most success there.
Wow.
Um,
Nice.
but it's interesting because it's 4 different people with, you know, a moderate amount of reach, all pushing towards one goal. You quickly see how that moves the needle.
Yes, it's a compounding effect,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
interesting. Right, John, what do you do outside of work? How do you balance life? You mentioned you have a little kid, so anything else interesting that you do outside
Um,
of work? Yeah.
no.
Working and family, right?
Working, I like to travel.
Hmm.
I'm that's my hobby, if you will. Um, so we haven't gone. So his name's John, the baby, as
Hmm.
well. We haven't gone international with him yet. We still have to go and get his passport, which has to be done in person. But we've taken him on um, three three trips that required flights so far.
Hmm.
Um, so we're not stopping. We're
Yeah,
continuing to travel,
keep going.
continuing. Yeah, I'm going to a conference this month in San Diego, and my wife's gonna come and the baby's gonna come. We're gonna come the
Nice.
weekend prior and make a trip out of it. So
Yeah.
I'd say the trip, traveling, and I'm a big sports card. If you see the stuff
Hmm.
behind me,
Yeah.
sports card guy. That's more of a midlife crisis during COVID. Um,
Okay.
you know, at some point I said, as a 40 something, I'm going to collect athletes on printed cardboard again, like I did
Yeah.
when I was a kid. So
Nice. John, any final tips for other brands out there or leaders in brands that you
on
can?
on the
Yeah.
content piece, just go, just do it, test and just commit to it. Don't feel that, like, don't look back 2 weeks later. Oh, nothing's working. Like, it's slow. It's the slowest grind, but it's also the most rewarding if you can stick with it and be consistent with it. I have a blog, onlinequeso.com, and it's probably 60% me writing, 40% random e-commerce guests.
Mhm.
And really a lot of the messaging in it is, you look on X or you look on LinkedIn, and it's people love to talk about their wins. Um, People don't necessarily like to talk about their losses, and the reality is the losses are where you get a lot of your learnings so that you can win later.
Yeah.
So the blog, the whole site has a real focus on, okay, let's talk about something that didn't work and what we learned from it. How are we stronger, better, faster
Hmm.
because of it? Um, because I think there's a little bit of toxicness in online social media in general, especially on the business side, where people just want to talk about their winning, and the reality is it's an unrealistic expectation. So yeah,
Yeah.
just go with the content and know there's gonna be a lot of losing, but If you stick with it, there'll be a win, and the wins will get bigger and bigger and
Yes.
bigger.
I think the authenticity wins, right? I mean, talk about
100%.
everything. Like building public is a very powerful thing
It's
these days.
huge.
Yeah.
People love to watch that.
Yes. Yes. Great, John. So where people can find you and BattlBox or maybe the podcast? Obviously, we share all the links in the show notes, but
Yeah,
let
yeah.
us know.
LinkedIn. I'm most active on LinkedIn. I'm on X, but I'm not as active. Online queso, awesome. OnlineQueso.com, awesomepod.com, battlebox.com. Yeah, just Google me. You'll find
Nice.
me.
John, super interesting. Wish you all the best and good luck.
No, thank you so much for having me.